Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing all well this afternoon. I'm really excited for you to join us here for this interview with the principal of Leadership Lessons Live, Wendy King. Wendy, with a team of 18 other leaders, recently published a very relevant book in today's world, Leadership in Trying Times. I had the chance to connect with her a few days ago and want to share a few clips from our conversation. At the end, Wendy will be joining me live, so please submit your questions and comments. And afterwards, Wendy will answer them all live. So, for a bit of background about Wendy, for those who don't know her, Wendy is a recognized leader and management expert. She has dealt with a number of challenges throughout her professional career and has a number of simultaneous projects that she's working on. And I love working with her at Leadership Lessons Live. So for our for the first bit of our conversation, we talked about the success so far that the book has. Just was published or released about a week ago, and it's already it's already number one in 8 different categories on Amazon. Oops, hold on.
And one of the ones that I'm most excited about is business communications. It hit number 1, and also in business ethics. So
Awesome.
I think we're making progress with this book, and it's really the result of a group of people that really had to pivot. And we talk about this in the book. Many of us were speakers or presenters and or starting our speaking businesses. And all of a sudden COVID hit, and literally our livelihoods came to a dead end stop. And so with a couple of colleagues, I chatted with them and I said, listen, how can we do something to support each other during these times? And we got together and started a weekly Zoom, and pretty soon had 20 people that were interested in really talking about and sharing how could we take our businesses and move them to an online environment. And literally that's what we did. And we decided that one way to galvanize us and bring us together was to do a book on leadership in trying times. And it has just turned out to be a great experience. And I think it's got some great useful information for leaders and aspiring leaders who want to do something and be effective during these are really tough times.
I love working with Wendy because she is so creative and nimble, and definitely reflects in the work that she has done with this group of 18 leaders and leadership in trying times. We talked about her chapter in the book and the 3 main elements, if you will, that make up a leader who does well in trying times like now.
One of the things that I talked about in my chapter, which is chapter 15, is that now is the time to call upon your leadership qualities. And those, I break them down into 3 big buckets. One is leaders should exhibit their traits that have to do with high character, that they need to concentrate on certain competencies, and that they need to figure out how to build commitment among their team, their peers, their customers. And one of the ways that you can do that, and I think commitment is particularly important, is to really think carefully about how are you going to empower your team members and create important work for them when they're not necessarily close by and can understand the whole picture of the organization. So I think a leader really now should say, okay, how can I help this employee understand how they fit into the big picture of this company? And I think even reviewing online with your team, hey, let's remember what the goals of this company are and the objectives and what we're trying to do. And then say, okay, Mary, John, Alicia, what I know your job, let's just say you're a payroll supervisor. How do you think you fit in to accomplishing those goals? And you know, what's amazing is the light goes off. They're like, wow, if I don't do my job and people don't get paid, we're not going to be successful as an organization. And I think that really helps. And then I think you can really cheer people on and say, listen, I want you to know how important you are to this organization. So I think you have to emphasize that right now. People need to feel like they have value.
I love that point that Wendy made at the end of that, just around the importance of our employees and colleagues articulating their commitment to the organizations. I think that's truly valuable, especially in uncertain times. Wendy also talked about those three different elements of what makes a good leader during trying times. And the first one being high character. We talked about that a little bit more and how that kept that concept of high character, specifically empathy, was found as a pattern throughout a number of chapters throughout leadership in trying times. So we dove into that a little bit more, and let me show you that clip now.
Noticed in the book, really almost throughout all the chapters, is some of the characteristics I've talked about in terms of being a person of high character. And right now, one of those characteristics is people that have empathy and leaders that really demonstrate empathy. I mean, I know it's a buzzword right now, but if we just take the time to, instead of trying to get the task done, which, you know, again, we're under a lot of stress, but if we just take the time to have some of that informal conversation and really sincerely ask people how they're feeling, how they're doing, and really explore and discover some of the challenges that they're facing, it can make a huge difference in creating that bond.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty incredible the way that this team of people has put out this book, and we talked about a little bit what else Wendy is working on with this group. And here are the few ideas that they have up their sleeve. You know, Wendy, we I love working with you, and I.
So the
Okay.
next idea that we have is to have use the book as a forum to continue this dialogue, this important dialogue on how we're going to lead through these trying times. And we're going to try to have an international summit where we have experts, including the authors in the book, come in and talk about some of the expertise that they have to help folks really in a more interactive way share some lessons on leadership. So stay tuned. Hopefully we can do that this fall.
Well, I'm excited, and I definitely want to attend that summit. And I also foreshadowed a little bit of a clip that we're going to go into next. My bad. But as I mentioned before, you know, one of the other projects that Wendy works on is Leadership Lessons Live with me. And as principal, she's been working on a ton of different things. So just want to do a quick moment and talk about what we're up to here at Leadership Lessons Live. Wendy, I love working with you, and I know that you have a bunch of these projects, and one of those projects happens to be Leadership Lessons Live, and we are figuring out how to build a premier platform for high quality and online content. So, you know, I've been working on these different videos and trainings around how to build community, but what have you been up to on your side and the work that you've been doing?
Well, I'm just in the throes right now of putting together a way to deliver content online through courses. And one of the first courses that I'll be working on, which I think is so important for leaders right now, is 50 tips on how to give a fabulous Zoom. Right? How many Zoom meetings have you been in that have failed, flubbed, didn't get started on time, the internet connections were bad, the people were not engaged? And so I think as leaders and aspiring leaders, there's so many things we can do to look good, sound good, and operate Zoom meetings to really deliver the messages and communicate in a very highly effective manner. So I'm hoping to have those courses available mid-August.
Awesome. And without further ado, I want to bring Wendy King into the interview. So here she is. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Jessie. Hey, thanks for having me this afternoon and taking the time to talk about the book that just came out, Leadership in Trying Times.
Yeah, so glad you're here with us. Could you share the book? Did it just come out in paperback?
It did. It came out this week in paperback. Here we go. In front of my face. There we go. Hope you can see it. And
Mhm.
one of the things that's really exciting about the paperback version of the book is, don't know if you can see the inside, but at the end of every chapter, we have a section for notes. So folks can be taking notes as they go along, and reflect on what they've just experienced as they've read it. And I think that's a valuable part of this book. We want it to be a guide for you that you can use as you wish.
Yeah, that's great. So, Wendy, can you tell us a little bit more about the authors of this book?
Sure. There are 18 authors of the book. It's a pretty diverse group. We have people that are just starting out their careers in leadership, and individuals that have been in leadership positions for many, many years and really have delivered presentations and are really experts in speaking about leadership. But what I love is about some of our members that are just starting their careers in leadership. They are learning to be leaders remotely, and their input in this book has been so valuable, particularly now as we try to work together remotely.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a powerful message for a lot of leaders out there trying to figure out how to make it all happen remotely and not in person. So, kudos to you guys for putting out this incredibly timely and relevant book. Are there any particular chapters that you want to highlight?
Sure. There's just some wonderful chapters in the book. And the way I think about this is, and how I've used the book is, depending on maybe the challenge that I'm having today, is I'll look through the book, leaf through the book, and find a chapter that might help me. So this week in particular, I've had some challenges where I really needed to speak out about something that was very important to me, but I was a little timid to do that. And so, one of the chapters in the book, I'm going to refer to the chapter by correct title. Let me look down and read it. Is by Michael Hawkins, and it's called Being Mentally Tough and Considerate in Stressful Times. And what he says really resonated with me in terms of, it's okay to basically speak your mind, but understand how important it is that you communicate in a considerate manner with other people. And it really gave me the strength to deal with the situation I needed to deal with. So that was awesome. And then another chapter that I just love is by Callie Rothberg. And I know you've interviewed Callie. And it's called What Leaders Can Learn from a Dancer to Enhance Their Performance. And one of the topics that she discusses is the importance of building an ability for team members to work together without a leader present. We as leaders can't always be in the room leading the charge. And so if you can develop the camaraderie and as a leader support the camaraderie among team members so they can help each other, I think it's just a wonderful chapter. And she learned that as part of a dance troupe, where if the coach of the dance team was not available, two of the dancers could get together and help each other. So I love that chapter.
Yeah. Well, I think that also just speaks the diversity of people that you have brought in to create this book. So, yeah, I think that's just great that that was a part of the thought process on pulling this book together, bringing in diverse voices. Um, Speaking of bringing in diverse voices, you all had to work on this book remotely. That must have been really hard. Um, what was the process, and do you have any learnings from trying to write a book all remotely?
I do, and I think it's a great opportunity for organizations right now to, as you are doing something remotely with team members, even if it's not specifically a work-related activity, it can galvanize people to have a project that you all work on together that has a timeline and has each individual having an important part of the activity. So in this case, that's what we did for this book, and it really brought us together, and it really created a sense of community. And also, I think it's interesting, we talk about this in the book, some of us who have been in leadership positions had to learn to let go and not be in charge. And so it was really great to trust our other teammates. 3 of our teammates are experts in are expert authors and really know how to write books. And they led the team for us. And it turned out to be a great experience because of that.
Well, I was privy to a few of those emails because my husband, Kurt, who was featured in a cameo in one of the videos, if you caught that a few minutes ago
Yes.
here. Yeah, I was just really impressed by the way that you guys organized, and you had tight deadlines and there was that sense of urgency. So I was just really impressed with the way that you guys all came together to write it. So it's really awesome. Is there anything else that you want to leave the group with? Any thoughts around leadership in trying times?
I think, again, as I said earlier, it's a great opportunity to just think about how to work with people on a project that can bring you together. So the lessons in leadership, lessons in trying times, really talk about that. And so it was great to do that in a live, real-time way, and to know that the lessons in the book, in fact, do and can bring people together and can bring success. So I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Wendy. Excited to have you back on Leadership Lessons Live for another interview, probably for another project that you'll be working on in the next few months. So we'll talk to you then.
All right. Great to be here. Thanks, Jessie.
Thank you. So thanks everyone for watching the interview that we just had with Wendy and the clips that I had taken before from a previous conversation. If you want to learn more about Leadership Lessons Live, check out leadershiplessonsforyou.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Leadership Lessons Live, which if you're on YouTube right now, hopefully you've already subscribed to it because that'd be great. And then in this post, I'll also include a Google form where you can include your email address just to stay in the know about everything that we're working on. So check out Leadership in Trying Times and on Amazon. And thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great evening. Thanks. Bye.